Looking for a compact crossover with sleek styling, great handling, and upscale flair inside and out? Mazda's got you covered. Well, twice actually, with this CX-50 and this CX-5. So what's the difference? What's up folks, I'm Dave Undercoffler, Editor-in-Chief of Autolist.com, a sister company to CarGurus. For years, the Mazda CX-5 has been a popular choice for compact crossover shoppers looking for something different. And then Mazda came out with this, the CX-50. It's in the same segment and offers much of the same panache that's made the CX-5 a fan favorite. Since Mazda sells both of these at the same time, you're probably wondering, how do these compare? What are the differences and which one do we recommend? Well, let's go find out. But before we do, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel so you get alerts on all of our future updates. All right, so we're going to start by looking at the exterior differences of these two models, but before we do, quick info on some pricing. So the CX-5 starts at about $29,000 and the CX-50 starts at about $30,000, and both of those prices are before destination or any options. We're testing two fully loaded models today, so that means that the CX-5 is the Turbo Signature and the CX-50 is the Turbo Premium Plus. The CX-5 that you see here is about $42,000 all in, whereas the CX-50 fully loaded as you see it here is about $45,000. All right, now let's talk about styling. This CX-5 has been around since about 2017, although there was a refresh in 2022. Meanwhile, this CX-50 is all new for 2024, so the styling on this version is going to be a little more contemporary and a little more modern. It also has more of a rugged, outdoorsy kind of look on the CX-50 here, especially with the cladding you see down on the lower bumper and around the wheel wells. Meanwhile, on the CX-5, you've got a more sporty, kind of upscale look going on here. The cladding is the same color as the rest of the body, so those are some of the main differences you're going to see on the exterior of these two vehicles, but there are also some size differences. All right, now let's take a look at exterior dimensions of these two vehicles. This CX-5, the wheelbase is about 4.5 inches shorter and the overall length is about 5 inches shorter than the CX-50. Otherwise, the width and the height are about the same. So how does all that translate into interior space and cargo space? Well, we'll show you that a little bit later. All right, now to the engines. And if you're comparing these two vehicles, the good news is the engines are the same. The base offering is a 2.5-liter four-cylinder engine that makes 187 horsepower and 186 pound-feet of torque. We're testing fully loaded versions, so these come with the optional engine. These are turbos. It's a 2.5-liter turbocharged four-cylinder engine that makes 256 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque. But there's one caveat. To get those higher power figures on these turbo engines, you've got to be using 93 octane fuel. Regardless of which engine you choose, both come with a 6-speed automatic transmission and standard full-time all-wheel drive. In terms of fuel economy, the base engine on the CX-5 is rated at 23 miles per gallon in the city, 29 on the highway, and 25 overall. The base engine on the CX-50 is actually a little bit better. It's 24 miles per gallon in the city, 30 on the highway, and 27 overall. If you go for the optional engine on the CX-5, it's rated at 22 miles per gallon in the city, 27 on the freeway, and 24 overall. Meanwhile, the CX-50 with the optional engine is also more fuel efficient. It's rated at 23 miles per gallon in the city, 29 on the freeway, and 25 overall. So while these engines are all well and good, there's no hybrid available on either the CX-5 or the CX-50. Does that bother you? Do you wish there were a hybrid available? Let us know in the comments below. All right, let's take a look at the interior of these vehicles. Right now, I'm sitting in the CX-50, so I'll show you some highlights here. This has a 10.25-inch infotainment system. It's the same in this car as it is in the CX-5. Base models of the CX-50 do get a smaller screen. It's 8.8 inches. The good news is it's the same system on the CX-5 as it is in the CX-50, so there's really no difference there. The bad news is both systems aren't that good. These are one of the more frustrating systems to use on the entire market today. And there's a couple of reasons why. For one, in some cases it's a touchscreen, and other cases you have to use the rotary knob down below. That screen is pretty far away. I've got long arms, so it is hard to reach, so that's frustrating. And then the interface itself, the screen doesn't display enough information. You've got to go through too many submenus to get very simple functions. So it all adds up to a very frustrating experience overall. Otherwise, the rest of the interior on both this CX-50 and the CX-5, they're really nice. Mazda is moving upscale, moving up market a little bit, so you've got a lot of nice touches. You've got stitched leather dashboard on our fully loaded version. The knobs themselves have a premium feel. Everything is laid out exactly where you would want it, and the materials and build quality just add up to a really nice near luxury experience. And because we're in fully loaded versions of both of these Mazdas, there are a lot of goodies that come with these trims. We've got heated and cooled seats, and I gotta say, these are some of the warmest heated seats I've felt in a really long time, so if you live in a cold climate, that's a pretty nice bonus. We also have a heated steering wheel, wireless smartphone charging, and in this CX-50, we've got a panoramic moonroof. All right, so now we're in the CX-5, and there's actually a couple of things I like more about this vehicle rather than the CX-50. For one, this seat feels more comfortable than the one in the CX-50, which is a little surprising. This is an older vehicle, it's been around longer, so you think maybe that would be better, but no, the CX-5 seats definitely feel more comfortable. I also like that the CX-5 has this wood trim, but it adds a little bit of warmth to the cabin that we don't have on the CX-50. And finally, this touchscreen is a lot easier to reach in the CX-5. But overall, I do prefer the interior of the CX-50. It's just more modern overall in terms of how it's laid out, and then the buttons and switchgear themselves have a more premium feel. Not to mention, we've got just a standard sunroof where it's a panoramic setup on the CX-50. Now, when it comes to rear seats, there's actually some pros and cons to each of these Mazdas. So we're in the back of the CX-50 right now. This has a little bit less headroom, but a little bit more legroom than the CX-5. And overall, I actually prefer sitting in the back of the CX-50 more than I do in the CX-5. This just feels a little more spacious, a little more airy, and a little more comfortable. But one thing I'm surprised about are the hard plastics in the back of this CX-50. This is the more modern vehicle. You'd think they would have more premium materials, but it's not the case. There's a lot of hard plastic right here on this CX-50 that's not the case in this CX-5. But at least both models that we're testing have air vents back here, heated seats because we're in a fully loaded version, and USB charging down below. All right, let's talk cargo space. There's actually a little bit more room in the CX-50 than the CX-5 when these seats are folded up. The load floor is also a little bit lower. So you've got 31.4 cubic feet of space in the CX-50 and 30 cubic feet of space in the CX-5. One advantage that the CX-5 has is that these seats are split 40-20-40, and so when they're folded, they give a little bit more room, whereas the CX-50, they're split 60-40. Next up, driving impressions. Now, we're in a CX-5 right now, but most of how this vehicle drives also applies to the CX-50. There are a few differences, I'll get to those in just a minute, but one thing I've always loved about Mazdas is how much fun they are to drive. Compact crossovers usually aren't all that fun, but this one definitely is, as is the CX-50. So that means things like the steering feel really good. There's a lot of feedback from this steering. Some of its competitors are definitely gonna feel kind of numb, so I really appreciate that. The brakes feel really good. The suspension is nicely tuned in both these vehicles, although I gotta say, the ride does feel a little more comfortable in this CX-5 than it does in the CX-50. The CX-50 feels a little too firm for my tastes. Then there's the power. Now on paper, this has 256 horsepower if you're using 93 octane fuel. Otherwise, it's 227 horsepower. Those numbers are the same for the CX-5 we're in right now and the CX-50. But on the road, the CX-50 absolutely feels like it has more pep, more get up and go, and more power. So that is something to take into account if you're comparing these two vehicles. Otherwise, both of these crossovers offer really impressive levels of refinement. You go over bumps or chatter, and they feel solid. They almost feel like there's German engineering in these. There's no wind noise, there's no road noise, so that's been impressive. And like I said, that's for both the CX-5 and the CX-50. Finally, when it comes to visibility, I'll give the CX-5 a slight edge over the CX-50. The CX-5 just sits up a little more upright, gives you a little bit better view of the road, both in front of you and behind you, but it's close and it's not a deal breaker on the CX-50. All right, folks, there you have it, our comparison of the Mazda CX-5 and the Mazda CX-50. Overall, we've really enjoyed both of these vehicles. We think they are a stylish, fun to drive, and premium alternative to most of the competitors already on the market. But if we had to choose one of these, we'd probably opt for the CX-50. It's just a little bit newer and a little bit bigger, and yet it does everything else that the CX-5 does just as well. But which one would you guys choose, the CX-5 or the CX-50? Or do you already own either of these models, and what do you love about it? Be sure to let us know in the comments below. So for reviews or listings of these vehicles or anything else you're shopping for, new or used, be sure to check out CarGurus.com. And before you go, like and subscribe to this channel so you can get alerts on all of our future updates. Thanks for watching.